Hello everybody, and welcome back to my sunroom here in East Tennessee on this blustery April day. Yesterday was sunny and 80 degrees, and today it's rainy and blustery and about 55. So it seems like we're having a quick bout of winter, which is totally normal for us here in East Tennessee in April. So I've received a lot of questions from you all about my Easter cactus. What are we supposed to be doing with it now? And I have been just gathering information, as you know, and you all have been so very helpful to me. I appreciate my subscribers who say, okay, I know how to do this. I've been doing this for a long time, and I know about this, and I have some really good information to pass along to you all today. So as you know, my last Easter cactus video, I repotted this one that my friend Sharon Holmes sent me. She has the mother plant, and so she propagated this for me. And I repotted this in 50% of the Orchid small chip bark, and the other half of that is the Glacier Gold potting mix from the Orchid Supply Store, who sponsors my channel. This is the time for repotting things. So just make sure that when you place your order from the Orchid Supply Store, they have everything you need to repot your orchids, your plants, any plant you have, as a matter of fact. Use my coupon code AMY for a 12% viewers discount, and they also offer free shipping in the continental United States. This is growing in a 4-inch orchid pot, so it has plenty of good drainage and aeration in this pot. I haven't put it in a decorative pot yet because I just repotted it, and I like to look at the moisture that's in the pot. So I thought we would just go through a fun fact about Easter cactus video. Things that I didn't know, things that I hope help you. I know they're going to help me a whole lot, and this is what I'm going to be sharing with you all as the year progresses. I heard from a subscriber who gave me a lot of really good information. Actually, quite a few people gave me some good information that I'm going to share with you all today. So this is just going to be like a kickback, get you some coffee, get you some tea, and we're going to talk about how to take care of these throughout the year. Okay, in my last video where I repotted this, and now I have a playlist that I have specifically for my Easter cactus care. So you all can go back and watch those very easily with that playlist. So I got a really good comment from a subscriber, Jade Bienvenu, and I'm going to read to you this comment. I don't want to abbreviate or abridge this in any way because these have been such a mystery to people who don't know how to grow them, and I know why. There's no information about them. And some of the articles that I have read, I know that the people who wrote these articles meant to be helpful, but some of the information was helpful and some of it, not so much so. So I'd rather go by somebody who has grown these plants. Okay, here is Jade's comment. Easter cactus needs a dry period starting in November, ending Valentine's Day. Cool temperatures don't matter, like with the Thanksgiving and Christmas cactuses. Dry to the point of the petals shriveling a bit. It's the only way it will set bloom. If they don't get that dry period, they will simply not bud. The proof that you keep it too moist during this time is that new petals are forming instead of flower buds. Okay, Jade has grown them for 16 years. All jungle cacti like this, the Christmas and the Thanksgiving cactus, prefer to be in terracotta pots. They grow very fast with more oxygen at the root. They are epiphytes in nature and grow on tree branches like orchids. Same wet-dry cycle. Okay, so that tells you this time of the year what you need to be doing. You need to be watering them with the same wet-dry cycle as your orchids, right? So, okay, here's my response. And of course I said, thank you so much for sharing this. Now I know what I did wrong. The petals on this plant started shriveling and I watered it. I panicked, yes. and that threw it off. And with most orchids, the leaves start to shrivel, and usually that's not a good sign with orchids, right? With most orchids that you grow. So that's what got me into watering mode. So from November 1st through Valentine's Day, light watering. I hear what you're saying about growing them in clay pots, and if I could, I'd grow them that way, but here in East Tennessee, clay pots grow black mold. So that isn't an option for me, but I'm going to pass that along for people who can. So just a note for you, you growers who can grow in terra pots, and some of you prefer terracotta pots, that would be a good idea. I'd much rather have advice from someone who's been growing them for 16 years than from an article. Experience trumps articles in my book. Thanks again for sharing your expertise. And Jade's response was, not zero water for all those months. Just get a shrivel between minor watering. Basically, you're trying to stress it out a bit so that it throws flowers for reproduction. Vegetative reproduction occurs in the rainy season when the stems are heavy and snap. They fall to lower branches on the tree and they root on them. So these grow up higher in the trees, these do, than the Thanksgiving cacti do. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. So that's why the difference. So Jade, thank you so much for your comment. That really helped me a great deal. And then my friend Sharon Holmes said the same thing. She said that she barely watered hers during that time. And she has the mother plant to this one. So, and hers bloomed. Yes. So obviously it's not the cooler temperatures, which I'm really glad I don't have to give mine cooler temperatures, because that's kind of hard for me. My sunroom is a warm growing sunroom, and I don't like cold rooms much. I just, I'm more of a warm weather person. So I'm glad to know I don't have to give this cold temperatures. Okay, so here's another really good comment that Molly S. left for me. Okay, she says, and I quote, I have my own big red, which is an Easter cactus that I've had for 15 years. It starts blooming in the spring. It takes a break, then blooms in the fall, and will have some blooms on it until January. Wow, okay. It grows in my southeast corner of my unheated kitchen addition. She uses a moisture meter, which is very good to know. She said in growing season, I water when it's less than 3. In other words, those wet, dry cycles like Jade was mentioning. Then I let it go down to 0 in the winter. So this goes right along with that comment from Jade. She plants hers in a mix of 50% cactus soil and 50% orchid bark mix, which is exactly what I used for this Easter cactus. And she says she finds hers easier to care for than her other holiday cacti. So that is a very good person to listen to as well. Now here's the thing. I've had this moisture meter for a long time, actually. These are very, very helpful with your houseplants, especially during the winter when my heat cuts on, it dries out my houseplants. So I have this thing out all of the time. And I'm going to show you the box. I actually kept it. This is it's a, I don't know, how would you say that? It's XLUX. And the only thing about this, well, it's not a downside at all. It's just the way that these work is you have to keep the probe cleaned off. It says with a paper towel. And I mean, I use an abrasive type of a paper towel, not those real soft ones. They say to keep the metal oxides cleaned off of this probe so that you make sure that you get a good reading every time. And this is all you do. You just kind of, okay. And mine is a 3. Okay, I'm going to let that just kind of set down in there for a a little bit. Let me give you a close-up of that. Let me see if I can just kind of zoom in and show you. The gauge shows about a 2 right now, which means tomorrow I've got to, I have to water this tomorrow. I've been watering this every 2 or 3 days because it gets dry that fast. I watered this yesterday and it's already a 2. So anything 3 or less is time to water. And then in the winter, a 0. That's interesting. I think that might be where Nolan's comment, where you have to kind of remember he missed his in the winter instead of watering it. Light watering. I'm not really good at light watering. I don't know about you all. When I water something, I really do water it. And see, I take this and I clean it off really, really well every single time I use it. After I use it, before I use it, I just keep it clean with that paper towel. So I'm thinking that probably in the wintertime, probably misting for me is going to be the way to go. And as you all know, there's Snow White off to the left of the screen. When the clades on a Thanksgiving or a Christmas cactus shrivel, that is a bad sign. You want to go ahead and water that plant. So I'm thinking that probably I just thought, oh goodness, my plant is kind of starting to relax. I remember Paula from Hillbilly Orchids told me hers is starting to kind of relax and shrivel a little bit. Well, Paula, that's what it's supposed to do, actually, to be able to set buds. So now we know. But you don't want your Thanksgiving and your Christmas cacti to shrivel like that. So the Easter cactus is just a different thing altogether. So light watering November 1st through February 15th. And if it doesn't do that, it won't set buds. So right now I am growing this one right behind where you see that shelf is with the, well, let me show you. It lives right there, kind of behind where it already is sitting, in an eastern facing window. And it has an LED light on that shelf as well. So it's getting the equivalent of southeast light exposure because that LED light is on about 70%. That's quite a bit. So I'm going to be watering this obviously every 2 or 3 days, and probably in the summer when it gets like 80 degrees back here every day. It might be every day. So I'm going to be using my moisture meter a lot to make sure that I'm not overwatering it, but I have a feeling that this one is going to take quite a bit of water. If I just watered this yesterday, of course it was 80 degrees here yesterday in East Tennessee, but it's already thirsty. I really should have already watered it. I can't believe it. But it's because I used a very light and airy mix. If you all will notice, on the top of the soil, I have added some MSU time-release fertilizer. That's the granules that you see on top of the soil here. I was gifted that, and I thought, you know, that would probably be a really good use for this Easter cactus, because I know I'm going to be watering it a lot, and I want to make sure that I give it enough fertilizer as it's growing. It is growing new petals on almost every single one that's already there. So this is going to grow quickly, and I have seen pictures of these that are very mature, and instead of growing up and out like a holiday cactus, this one kind of tends to grow down as it matures. I've seen some that are 20 years old, and wow, they get really, really big. So it's going to be interesting to grow this. So you can see how this is sitting really tall and pretty right now. But the mistake that I made with mine was when it started relaxing, and when these petals started shriveling a little bit, I shouldn't have watered it thoroughly. I should have just kept misting or very lightly watering it 1st of November through Valentine's Day. I'm just going to keep kind of saying that to get it in my mind, because that is very different than the Thanksgiving and Christmas cacti. So I believe that I'm going to, I believe that I'm just going to mist mine, very lightly water mine through those months, and I got to remember to let those petals shrivel a little bit. And let's go ahead and give you a view of Snow White, my white Thanksgiving cactus that, yes, it's blooming again and it has more buds. People are asking me now, you know, when do we fertilize? You don't fertilize until all of the buds and blooms have bloomed out and they've fallen off the plant. If you fertilize them while they're budding and blooming, I have found the buds and blooms just fall off prematurely. So yeah, not yet. I'm not fertilizing it yet. And if yours is budding and blooming, and I've heard from a lot of you who say, yes, yours are still blooming. Congratulations on that, by the way. But I've never seen a year where they bloomed this late into April. And here is Big Red. Still has many buds, lots of blooms, and new clades everywhere. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to groom it a little bit every day. Those of you who have new clades and you're thinking, I don't want a bigger plant. Yeah, you can trim those off as they grow. It's not going to keep your plant from blooming off of those clades next year. They still will, but it'll just keep the new clades from growing. So yeah, this is just, I'm looking at all the new clades thinking, do I really need all of these? And yeah, I think I need to do some more pinching back of these new clades, or I'm going to have an even bigger Big Red in the winter. So I hope this video has helped you all. Thank you all so much for helping me out. Jade, Molly, Sharon, and Nolan, thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your expertise, and your knowledge with us. And I will try to make sure that I get that knowledge out so that people can grow these successfully. I can't wait next year. I'm just hoping that I'm able to show you this plant in full bloom. Before I end the video, I'd love to say the blessing over you, your plants, and your families. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn His face toward you and give you His peace. Y'all make it a great day, and we'll talk to you all next time.